So let's go to the next one. Let's talk Ukraine. Let's talk Ukraine for a little bit. So Ukraine launched a strike on Russia, blew up 34% of their nuclear fleet a day before peace negotiations were set to begin. And Russia struck back Thursday. So after Ukraine blew this fleet up in Russia, Zelensky goes on a press conference. This is laughable. Zelensky goes on a press conference and right after they blow up 34% of their planes and goes, all right, we're ready for peace talks now. Like, that's not how that works. You don't get to hit somebody in the mouth, back away, and say, oh, don't hit me. Like, if we're at a bar and we're getting into it, we're yelling at each other, maybe there's a little pushing and shoving going on, and I walk up to you and just jack you in the mouth, and then you start taking your jacket off, your buddies are hyping you up or trying to stop you, depending on what type of friends you got. And I start going, oh, man, hey, let's talk this out, all right? My bad, I'll buy you a beer. That's not how that works. We're going to fight, and whatever happens, happens. And maybe we'll have a beer afterwards, because like I was saying, that's how guys are. But whatever happens, happens there. I don't get to just back out after I hit you as hard as Zelensky hit Russia. Now, I get it. It's war. You got to do what you got to do to fight a war. I'm not judging the guy for that. But you don't get to hit somebody that hard, and then when it's clear they're coming back with a full-scale attack, play the, no, my bad. Oopsies. Like, what Ukraine is doing right now, we had a kid in high school that was, his brother was a big dude. He was a couple years older than him. Star football defensive lineman, I think, linebacker, something like that. And this kid was a prick. His younger brother. And nobody wanted to beat his ass because you know his big brother would fuck him up. Or would fuck you up. That's what Ukraine's doing right now. They're toying with Russia, pushing them to the brink, knowing Russia's not going to do anything drastic because big brother U.S. is going to be there to back him up. Do you know who my brother is? Well, you know what happened one day? That kid's brother graduated, and like 6 people beat his ass on consecutive days. We're getting to the point where there's a new sheriff in town in the U.S., and big brother U.S. is about to graduate high school, and they're not going to be there to protect you from the world anymore. Now, you may have your cousins, the EU and Canada, to back you up, but everyone knows that those guys are fags, and they're not really scared of them. So there's not really all that much you can do about it. It doesn't really have the same effect. I mean, think about this from Putin's perspective. I mean, could you imagine? Putin's going to think twice, regardless of who the president is, about crossing that line to where the U.S. is going to get involved. He doesn't want that smoke. But I mean, could you imagine if the U.S. backed out and Zelensky's like, don't you dare use a tactical nuke on the battlefield, Vladimir, or you're going to have to answer to Canada. You just wait until Norway finds out about this, okay? It doesn't have the same effect on him, you know? So I think here's what people got to realize is there's a lot of things people got to realize about this, because you've got the UK moving to a wartime economy. Starmer is warning that they need to up their military defense spending. Poland took a hard right turn, which a lot of people in their last election, which does have a lot to do with the refugee crap going on. But it's also the other thing with Poland, which you got to realize is it's easy to be liberal and tolerant when everything's going well in peace times. But when the wolves are out the door, nobody's looking to the left-wing party in any country to protect them. Poland's always in the crosshairs for Russia. They're always next, right? If you're Poland, do you want some sissy frolicking around with a pride flag up, knowing that Russia's next door fucking your neighbors up and could very well be coming for you next? Or do you want the hardline nationalist to protect you? I mean, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. You got somebody breaking down your door right now. Right now. You can call one of two people. I'm not home. You can call one of two people to come help you. You can get a guidance counselor with a minor in gender and queer studies, or you can call up an ex-Navy SEAL who's armed to the teeth. Who are you going to call to come protect you from the home invader?
Well, the guidance counselor can guide me how to get out of the situation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No, when the wolves, it's easy to pick the soft, liberal, fun, tolerant people when everything's going well. But when the wolves are at the door, when the chips are on the table, when it's fight or flight time, when it's time to nut up or shut up, the far right parties are always the ones people pick because that's who they feel the safest with. Those are the ones that aren't going to put up with the bullshit. So I think the problem here is Trump has underestimated two things. And I told everyone, I'm not even going to say it again. I'm not going to bring up how I told everyone how stupid it was for him to say that he was going to end this war on day one, because it was more complicated than that. And he should have known better than to say that. Now, granted, if Harris were president, this is probably 100 times worse because we're upping how much we're shipping to Ukraine. We're putting even more pressure on. But I think Trump underestimated two things. Number one, how much of a mess he was inheriting, how badly the previous administration fucked this up. The previous administration said and did things to Russia that make it very, very difficult for them to negotiate with us in good faith, because what Russia realizes is we're a different animal negotiating with the United States. We change power a whole lot more than they do, right? We don't have one party that basically controls everything with fake elections to the same degree they do. He may be dealing with Trump now, but he knows very well that 4 years from now, he's dealing with somebody totally different that might be back to the old school Biden Cold Warrior school of thought. There's a very good chance that could happen. So he's a little bit more hesitant because he's seen the other side of the coin. And, well, yeah, I may not have a problem with this Trump guy quite as much. I've seen what the last guy did to me, and I'm a little hesitant to come to any type of negotiation with you because I know what could replace you. So now that he's seen the other side of the coin, it becomes very, very difficult for Donald Trump to get any type of meaningful deal done. I think the other thing he underestimated was his relationship with Putin. Putin respects him, but he doesn't like him. I think he thought he liked him. There's a respect there that wasn't there for Biden and wasn't there for Harris. Wasn't there for Bush, wasn't there for Obama. But they're not buddies. I think he thought he could go over to Putin and be like, what was that episode of King of the Hill where Dale and Bill were feuding and Hank was trying to be peacemaker? I think he thought he could pull a Hank Hill and go over and be like, hey, man, come on. Like, just pick the can up off his yard. Let's get over this, right? And it really didn't work that way. I respect you, but you're not about to come in here and tell me how to run my country. And I'm not pro-Putin. I'm just giving you the reality. Like I've always said, we have to view things from other people's perspective. We may agree it's wrong for him to invade Ukraine, but we have to look at it from his perspective if we want to defeat him. If we're unable to look at the world, if we're unable to understand why he sees the world and the current situation over in Ukraine the way he does, we will never end this war. It's going to go on forever. So Trump underestimated that. He also underestimated the fact that you've got people like Lindsey Graham going over to Ukraine, spending $400,000 on a hotel stay for him and Dick Blumenthal. Lindsey Graham is totally straight, right? Mike Pompeo getting involved, former Trump staffer. He fired him, thank God, years ago. He also underestimated the fact, third bonus item here, that the deep state's got more pull in this country than a lot of us want to admit, despite what happened on November 5th. The deep state is way too powerful, you guys. It didn't just disappear when Trump won the re-election back in 2024. That's not how this works. The deep state's still very much alive. Now, we finally got someone in power to counter the deep state. The White House is not colluding with the deep state like it was. But we've still got someone there behind the scenes trying to pad the pockets of the military-industrial complex and continue these forever wars. That's what we forget about here. So I hear about Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal going over there, and then shortly after is when this airstrike happens. My question here is, how much of a role did Lindsey Graham have in that airstrike? Because what you're seeing right now is you've got Donald Trump and the anti-establishment folks that are trying to prevent the country from being driven off a cliff into World War III. And then you've got people like Lindsey Graham, you've got people like Dick Blumenthal, you've got all Mike Pompeo's of the world, all these deep state ghouls that seem to be having this internal tug of war for control of the country. Where one side is trying to pull us away, the anti-establishment side trying to pull us away from all these foreign entanglements and away from all these expensive wars that could end humanity as we know it. And then you've got another side that's trying to pull us into World War III. And they're not going to go down without a fight. So they didn't go away. Thank God there's someone there to counter them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Kamala Harris would have won, oh my God, we would have been shipping. I mean, we would have been up in the ante over there. We would have been turning the temperature up, telling Ukraine, you're not doing enough. She made that clear. Kamala Harris all but said, we're going to war with Russia if I get elected. We're going to, not only was she saying they were going to continue Biden's aggressive policies toward Russia, where they weren't even trying to negotiate a peace deal, where they stopped Ukraine from accepting multiple ceasefire agreements, and then told them to go carry out more attacks. That's what the Biden administration did. She was outright saying she was going to ramp up the pressure on Russia. Kamala Harris would have guaranteed us World War III. While the deep state's still an element of our government, and they're still trying to make World War III happen, we've at least got a fighting chance to avoid it with Trump. Give me a chance. Put me in the ring. You know? You've also got the fact that I guess he's underestimated 4 things. I said 2, and then I came up with 2 more. That's how good I am at this. He also underestimated the fact that Europe was going to work against him. The rest of Europe. Europe's upping the pressure on Russia as well, shipping more weapons, trying to kick off a war. Because here's what Europe realizes. Europe wants this right now. They may not have wanted it under Biden. They want the war. Because Europe's trying to kick this off. Because Europe understands that right now, as we record this show, the United States has to uphold multiple treaties and agreements that would require us to defend them should Russia attack. Donald Trump has talked a whole bunch of shit about getting us out of those agreements. It's almost like right now, Europe is trying to start the war now so that the U.S. is contractually obliged to come in and save the day. They're like, if we're going to do it, let's do it now. So Europe's upping the pressure. That's where this all just gets weird because it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's like, yeah, we got rid of the war hawks in the White House that were trying to start World War III. But then the war hawks in Europe and the war hawks in the deep state that were behind the scenes in the U.S. government all stepped up and they're like, we got this. We'll make World War III happen. Give me World War III or give me death, baby. So that's why this is so frustrating. Again, it's no question who I would take. I'm going to take the guy that's going to actively fight to try to avoid World War III, but this is not as easy as he thought it was going to be. And if he don't get this shut down by the midterms, this is going to be endless fodder for the Democrats going into those. Okay, we got time for one more. I'm not going to talk about anything that's going to take too long. What did you say?
Can we do the Tinder?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We got time for one more. We'll do a quick. We'll do the Tinder height filter. Have you heard about this? You haven't? So this is Outkick.com. Oh, wait, hold on. Not Outkick. Just a second here. This is Core. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.